Hello, beautiful perception trainers community, and welcome back to another video where we are going to continue our exploration on shame. So if you have not seen the first video I made on shame, you can check it out in the link below, or in the description box below. I put a link there. Now, in this video, we're going to look at shame. So in the last video, we looked at shame kind of generally in this like shame about who we are as people and where that can kind of develop and how it's a protective mechanism to try to change ourselves fundamentally so that we will one day be worthy of that love that we felt was taken from us by our caregivers or the people around us that matter to us because of who we were. In today's video, we're going to look more at shame of in the sense of something we've done to ourselves, something we've done to other people, where we feel like we've made a big mistake and we've really done something horrible and terrible, and we are having trouble forgiving ourselves, and not even in some ways we are resisting forgiving ourselves for this thing that we've done or for this thing that we are, and the shame that goes along with that. So again, we talked about in the last video how shame is a protective mechanism. Now, I want to take that deeper in this video and explore the idea that shame is a protective mechanism against growth, because we don't feel that we are capable of truly learning from actual reality and changing and growing based on that. And the second thing is that we do not feel that we are allowed to grow. We feel as a humanity that we are supposed to already have everything sorted out, that we are never supposed to make a mistake or hurt someone else or hurt ourselves or do anything that gets love taken away from us. And so we have this fundamental fear of growth itself and learning itself, because it means we didn't already know, that we made a mistake, we weren't already perfect. And we would rather have shame than admit that we didn't know something and that we are going to have to learn and grow and change. So shame is protecting us from learning. Shame is protecting us from admitting that we had something we needed to learn and that we needed to grow into. All right? So when we have shame around something that we've done, or something that we didn't do, an action that we took, an action that we didn't take, and we're feeling ashamed for the way we have carried ourselves in this world. So and again, the kind of the line between feeling shame for who you are fundamentally and feeling shame for what you have done is very gray and very blurry. It's not a solid line, because again, a lot of the time you're going to notice that the things that you did that you have shame about, you identify as being that kind of person who does that kind of thing. So what we're going to look at here is the first thing of when you have shame for something that you've done, something that you did or didn't do, or even a shame about a characteristic that you have of yourself, something about your body, something about your personality, something about your emotions, any way that it is an expression of yourself in this world that you have shame of. So again, either an action that you took or didn't take, something about your body, something about your personality, something about your emotional expression. Anytime you have shame around something like that, the first question that you need to ask yourself is, what am I making this mean about me? And what am I making this mean about my life? All right? And this is an incredibly important question to ask ourselves, because again, so much of our shame comes from conditioning. We have been told that if you are that way, or if you behave that way, or if you act this way, or if you do this thing, the consequence is going to be love gets cut off from you forever. You never get to achieve your dreams. You never get to achieve your goals. You never get to be the person you want to be. You're never going to have the success you want in your life. That truly, this idea of being a bad person, or of being bad, which is really a deep cause of our shame, that we believe there's something fundamentally bad and wrong about us because we learned that from our caretakers, or that we have done something fundamentally bad and wrong, and therefore that is a black mark on our history forever. it is coming from this idea of what is right. And we have to start to deeply look at our definitions of right and wrong. And we have to understand that the reason we came up with these things at all as a humanity, these rules for what is right and wrong, is that it was our attempt at doing the right thing in reality to get the results we wanted. So this right and wrong has its roots in the very, 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 very beginnings of humanity, when we were out in the wild and not understanding how the environment worked and not understanding how nature worked and all of these things. And we were trying to do rituals and sacrifices and all of these things to nature. And that is what those primitive cultures saw as being right or good, because they believed that in doing these things, they would be rewarded by nature with abundant harvest, with not starving, with getting their needs met, having their needs met, getting the resources, right? And then, of course, as we started to develop as social beings, there also came in being right and wrong based on how predictable you were within your society, how much you were contributing to the perceived ways that the tribe was surviving or not. And that was the beginnings of social shame, right? Were you a threat to the survival of everyone around you, or were you helping the survival of everyone around you? And then now we've progressed and progressed and progressed to these giant, we've developed scientifically, we understand a little bit more about the universe, we have far more complex social structures now. And so a lot of the time, our shame is built up around not a true version of real reality and how we're going to get what we want and how we're going to get our needs met and what would actually make us a good person, in the sense of we are living in alignment with the laws of the universe so as not to be breaking ourselves against them. That is really what we mean when we say we're being a good person. Okay? And when we say we're being a bad person, we mean we're not getting the results that we want. There are negative consequences for our actions. And this is confusing in our reality because we do not live in a society or in a world where our definition of right or goodness is directly in alignment with how reality functions and how we actually are all going to thrive as a humanity. Right? We've all been making up all of these rules for centuries and centuries and centuries of what is right and what is wrong, based on our fear, based on our misunderstanding, based on what we wanted things to be, based on how we hoped things would go. And so a big part of our shame, again, is coming from this root belief that if I am this way or if I do this thing, I'm not going to get my needs met. I'm not going to be successful in life. I'm going to get rejected by other people. I'm going to get rejected by reality itself. I'm going to be punished. And a lot of the time, we have been socially punished and socially shamed for what we have done. And that is a horrible feeling. But in real reality, we may start to see that actual reality, the life itself, isn't punishing us for what we're doing because maybe it wasn't wrong. And so we kind of have to understand that this untangling of shame first begins with realizing that we are conditioned and that some of your shame is coming from you trying to get yourself to not do or be a certain thing that got love taken away from you. Because you're hoping, again, that if you just shame yourself enough or don't forgive yourself enough or beat yourself up about it enough, you won't do that thing again. And therefore you will get love, right? So we're all so afraid of repeating our past mistakes that got us rejected or got us hurt in real reality. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. But we're not allowing ourselves to actually learn from what we did and what the consequences were of our actions. We are now just in a fear state that says, I have this belief that to be or do this thing that I've done or didn't do or am is blocking me from having a successful, happy life. That's really what it boils down to. So what am I making this thing mean? If I were to repeat this mistake again, or if I were to do this thing again, or not even that I've done it again, that just that I did it, that it happened or that it didn't happen, whatever it is that you have shame about for yourself, what are you making it mean about your life and what you can and cannot achieve now and can and cannot have and are not worthy of based on this thing that you're ashamed of? Okay, that's the first thing. What are you making it mean? What was the negative consequence that came about because of that action or that inaction or that thing that you did? And first and foremost, starting to identify where it was that you were socially shamed and where you actually had a negative consequence in reality, okay? So an example to look at of, okay, because here's the other thing. We really want to start to notice that shame, all right, is a childlike way of dealing with negative consequences to life. That's what we got to start to understand, that our shame is a childlike and underdeveloped way of dealing with negative consequences in life. So as adults, all right, let's think of this metaphor, right? We don't need someone to tell us you're a bad if you eat the entire tray of brownies, okay? And I mean, some of us still feel we need that. But if we're really to tune in to our bodies, which is part of real reality, the body doesn't care what consensus reality says. The body doesn't care if everyone says that eating 4 cheeseburgers a day is healthy for you. If it actually isn't, the body is not going to be healthy eating 4 cheeseburgers a day. Even if everyone believes that, right? The consensus reality is if you eat 4 cheeseburgers a day, you're going to be healthy. And that's what everyone believes, and that's what everyone's telling you. Yes? That's consensus reality. If you then go and eat 4 cheeseburgers every day, so that's the metaphor we're going to use now, scrap the brownie thing, the 4 cheeseburgers every day, you're going to notice you start to feel terrible. Your body starts to break down. You start to get sick. Why? Because that's real reality showing you that the belief that you had that 4 cheeseburgers is good for me and real true reality, how the body actually functions and what it needs to be healthy, are different. Real reality is saying, it doesn't matter how much you believe that 4 cheeseburgers is good for you, it isn't. You're going to experience negative consequences when you eat 4 cheeseburgers. Now, you as an adult, right, when we start to develop past the need for shame, don't need someone to come and yell at you for being sick to get you to understand that cheeseburgers aren't good for you. You don't need shame in order to learn this lesson. Rather, you can look at your pain that you're experiencing and say, okay, well, I'm clearly doing something wrong here. I'm believing that 4 cheeseburgers a day is good for me. My body is in pain. That's real reality talking to me. So clearly, I have something to learn here. I'm making a mistake in real reality, but it's obvious and it's telling me I'm getting negative consequences for my actions in my body. So then you start to change and you replace those 4 cheeseburgers with salad, say, and your body starts to get better. You start to experience positive results. That is an adult way to learn, okay? When we experience negative consequences based on our actions and we go to shame, what we're really saying is, I am unwilling to learn from true reality. I am unwilling to learn that there may be something that I don't know, that I thought was how it was, that it isn't, information I didn't already have. I don't want to believe that. but I don't want to experience negative consequences anymore. So I'm going to use shame to try and protect myself from doing these things that are hurting me over and over and over again, without taking the step of understanding why what we did got us negative consequences. This is the big key, okay? If you really want to evolve your shame, you have to understand that there was some negative consequence for something that you did or something that you were. If you truly want to get to a place where you no longer feel you need shame to keep you in check, to keep you in line, to keep you doing what you think you should do to get the results that you want, still not sure if you're really doing the right thing or not, still believing you might be a fundamentally bad person, there might be something fundamentally bad about you, aka something fundamental about you that prevents you from having, doing, and experiencing what you want to have, do, and experience. If you want to evolve that, you have to look at your shame and look at the things that were causing you shame and the negative consequences you experienced, the pain you experienced because of what you were or what you did or didn't do. Then you need to learn from that. You need to start to decipher, okay, was I socially punished because I didn't do what my conditioning and my conditioned society told me to do? If that's the case, is that really correct? Is everybody right? If I continued on doing what I was doing, what I was shamed for, would I really not get the results that I want in life or not? And sometimes the answer is yes, you really are not going to get the results in life if you want, if you keep doing that. And sometimes the answer is no, I actually was fine to keep doing what I was doing. It's just that it made everyone else uncomfortable. So in the first case, if it's really yes, if I keep doing that thing, I'm not going to get the results that I want. Again, learn why. What actually happened there, right? When I kick someone and I got shamed for that, and that felt shameful to kick somebody, why? Well, because we're connected. When they were hurting, I was hurting. So that's the first thing. I didn't actually enjoy that experience. I'm shaming myself for having done this as though I wanted to kick that person and I enjoyed the fact that they suffered. You're probably going to figure out that that's not actually true. And the reason you have so much shame is because you feel so bad that you caused someone else pain. So rather than continuing to shame yourself, learn from it. Say, okay, no, I learned through that experience that I don't want to kick other people. I don't want to hurt other people. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to fuck up. I'm going to hurt other people unnecessarily, accidentally sometimes, but that doesn't make me a bad person if I learn from it. If you learn, I don't kick people now because I genuinely, emotionally learned from that experience. You don't need shame to remind you not to kick somebody. And that's part of the reason why you're using shame right now, to remind you not to do this thing that you didn't actually learn from yet. Okay, so there's a huge difference between knowing better and emotionally learning from our stuff. And that is where we actually can transcend shame. You don't need shame to remind you not to do bad things if you truly understand why those things don't get you the results that you want in life, why they cause pain and help you avoid pleasure. That is what you want, okay? And then again, if it's the conditioning thing, and you say, no, I really could keep doing this thing and get the results that I want, other people just won't like that. Again, that's learning that part of your shame was social conditioning and never meant to be shameful. That's part of learning to love yourself even though other people don't like it and are going to shame you for what you're doing. And that's another huge thing to learn. But that's why you have the Emotional Mastery Series. So if you really understand this, if you're getting negative results, you need to look at why. Why are you getting negative results? Why did your behavior cause pain? What was really going on there? Did you need to keep developing that part of yourself and learn to love you even though the society doesn't? Or was it true reality saying, no, that's not a thing. You were having pain for a reason. Now learn it emotionally. Why did that not work? What did that show me? And then be willing to accept that you can learn now. You can learn. You don't need shame to keep you in line like rules that you're memorizing. You can learn, I don't eat 4 cheeseburgers anymore because it feels terrible. I don't need someone to remind me. I don't need someone to shame me for that. I just don't do it because I don't like that feeling. Because I learned through my experience that it doesn't work. That is how we learn from shame. So again, when we understand that really the way we're using shame is a protective mechanism from doing something that caused us pain in the past that we didn't actually learn from, we can start to go into our shame and the things that we feel shame about and the things we can't forgive ourselves for. And then we can start to understand there's learning there. I need to learn why that caused me pain, why that made me suffer, what the actual consequence was, why that consequence was the way that it was, and how to do things differently based on that information. That's how we become adults who learn from shame. All right? So shame is your way of protecting yourself from doing something that got you a negative consequence that you didn't understand. So you need to understand the consequences. Was it in real reality? Was it consensus reality? Did you need to keep doing that thing? Did you need to learn not to do that thing? But why? Like really learn why. So you can become an adult who doesn't need rules for good and bad. You know what's right and wrong based on the results you get. That's part of how we learn real, true reality. What is the result? What actually happens? Where's the pain? Where's the pleasure? Where's the pain coming from? Where's the pleasure coming from? Is the pain long lasting? Is the pleasure short-sighted and then leads to pain? These are all the ways that we learn from reality. So we have to start to say, if I don't want my shame anymore, I have to be willing to learn from what I went through. I have to be willing to learn why there was pain there, what it actually was, what caused that pain, what did I need to learn. This is how we evolve our shame. So go into your shame. Go into the things you can't forgive yourself for. Go into all that stuff. Realize you're not any one type of person. One thing that you did, one thing that you are doesn't define who you are. And there may be parts of you that are immature that need to be grown. You may have done things that were immature, that hurt other people and yourself because you didn't understand. That's true. But forgiving yourself is going to be a matter of saying, okay, I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to allow this to grow me. I'm not going to keep shaming myself because that just keeps you stuck. If you keep shaming yourself, you're never going to grow because you're never going to understand why it caused you pain, right? If you just keep shaming yourself, you'll never understand why, and then you can't mature, and then you stay being that person. So part of the paradox of shame is that we're trying to protect ourselves from being or doing this thing that we feel is so shameful, but because we're cutting ourselves off from the information that shame was, or that pain that was supposed to teach us, because we're cutting ourselves off from the information, from the pain of the thing that we're now shaming ourselves for, we cannot grow, we can't learn, we can't change, and then we get stuck being that person. So we don't actually protect ourselves from doing that thing over and over again. We force ourselves to keep doing that thing over and over again because even though we know better, we don't know better. We didn't actually learn. We didn't actually take that learning in for ourselves and develop as a human being. We just got a rule that we can sometimes follow and sometimes not because we're not actually more mature. We don't understand more in order to not follow that, in order to follow that rule all the time. You don't want rules. You want to understand. When you understand, that's when you behave differently and you don't need shame to remind you. All right? So shame is just keeping you stuck. It's keeping you caught in your loop of doing the thing that you did or being afraid of doing that thing over and over again because you didn't learn. You're afraid of that pain. You're not really even afraid of doing the thing again or not doing the thing or what it is that afraid of being who you are. You're not really afraid of that. You're afraid of the pain you think that's going to cause you. And it's because you don't understand that pain. But the more you understand it, why it happened, how it happened, what to do next, how to grow and mature, how to learn, you don't have to fear that pain anymore because you understand it, right? Because remember what fear is, lack of understanding. So if you're fearful of pain, you have lack of understanding. So you need to go into that shame. What did I learn? What do I need to do? What do I need to grow into? Why did that cause pain? What do I need to do different? What do I need to be different? Where do I need to love myself? Where do I need to grow? And that's how we evolve shame. Okay, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave those down below. Like, share, subscribe. You need to grow. The pain is there for a reason. The pain is showing you something, and it's to help evolve you. All right? Mwah.